And we're right back with the question, can anything good come out of Gifford? We know that in the last few months, there has been some crime, there has been some shootings and killings, and the first thing that we want to do is we want to blame law enforcement. We don't want to blame anybody else. I've been raised, and to this day, I've been raised that there's two sides to a story. And why do we always focus on the one side of the story? I told some children's parents the other day, whenever you tell a parent that whenever a child tells their parent that something happened, they never tell the whole truth. So the parent gets upset, ready to fight for that child,
Yes.
and didn't know that their child was the cause of the problem. And I know, Adele, that you worked in you were in the school system,
Yes.
working as the reinforcement officer. How do you feel about what's going on with our children today? We'll get to the parents later, but our young people today, we just said earlier, it took a village to raise a child. We all help raise our children, but now it's a little different.
It is. I mean, it's a lot different than when Vin and I was growing up. Now with, kids having access 24 hours a day of different TV shows, social media, kids are a little bit different, but specifically, I'm concerned about our African American youth. I'm concerned about all youth, but disproportionately, our African American youth are dropping out at a rate that is alarming. Of course, we've been addressing the delinquency rate, with African American youth within the school system, and they have what is called racial and ethnic disparities that the state has been looking at. The fact that disproportionately more minorities are being suspended at a higher rate than whites and even Hispanics. They're being arrested in the schools at a higher rate than whites and Hispanics. And so, we want to look, we've been trying to look at what are the root causes. What can we as law enforcement in the schools do? Should we do something different? And we have. Over the years, we've worked with community leaders to try to change that perception that the school is a pipeline to prison. We've adopted the civil citation program within the Sheriff Lohr. Worked really hard to put measures in place within our agency. So if a kid, first-time offender, or a kid is charged with a misdemeanor, instead of giving that kid a criminal citation or a criminal affidavit, we'll give that kid a civil citation, and to give him an opportunity to get it right. So that when that kid, that same child, 3 years from now, is trying to get into a school, he can say no, he's never been charged with a crime. Or he's trying to get a scholarship or trying to get into the military. And I'm going to let you speak, but the other part is, I think disproportionately, and this is tough, but disproportionately, our kids are being disruptive, listen, I talk to teachers, black and white. Disproportionately, our kids are being disruptive at a level that is concerning to administrators, concerning the teachers, and we need to get that message out to the parents that we need to be parents. Just what you said, you know what I told my kids when they were growing up? Listen, I believe the adult every time, even if they might be wrong, but I'm trusting that this professional, if they told me that my child did something in the school, now I'm going to go and check it out, hear them out, but I told my kids, don't come home and tell me you got a bad grade because the teacher don't like you. You got in trouble because the teacher don't like you. I don't want to hear that. And so I think we need to just be parents and not allow our kids to feed us stuff, and then we go out there and act a fool, and they see that, and so they go to school with a chip on their shoulder, and they don't want to have anything to do with authority, whether it's a teacher, law enforcement, or a respected adult.
You're absolutely right, and I always tell children, parents, being your child's friend and be that parent.
Yes.
Because when you be a child's friend, they treat you like their friend.
Yes.
They don't respect you. They treat you like a friend.
Yeah.
But the question I want to ask you, Vince, is listen to what we got here. We got more kids on drugs, having sex, having children, killing people. I mean, what's your view on that?
Well,
I know that's a lot, but
yeah, because that's to me it's almost like a spiritual question, but I can try to break it down to like just a common something that I'm seeing a lot of. Like my daughter, Kima, trying to go to nursing school. Somebody had, just kind of go back to what he said earlier. They had a cell phone stolen, over $100. Her and 3 other kids, they dropped the charges. But my daughter now, 21 years old, got a charge that was dropped, but it's showing that she got arrested for stolen property. And so she had to call the state and get it expunged. So that can be another issue. I think media, social media, with all these, everybody want to be an overnight sensation, overnight star. That's why these kids get into a fight and then they got the camera. They want their fight to go viral. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of like fall into a society that people like violence, like it was going back to the scripture. Jesus talked about in the day of Noah, there was violence all over the land, and so for me, in a spiritual sense, it really wakes me up to know that I believe the soon coming King is on his way, because we can see the signs of the time.
You know, I was just saying while you were talking, go back to thinking that word fear again. Our youth have no fear in them of parents or authority, law enforcement. They have no fear. They don't even think about the consequences of what they do wrong.
They don't. And go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention, we did a baby dedication yesterday, and one of the things I mentioned, don't wait till the child get old enough to call 911. If you're going to discipline that child, let it be between 0 and 18 months or 24 months, because that is the steering of that child, and you can put fear in them. And so when that child gets 3 and 4 years old and you have to discipline them, by the time they get to the school system or Head Start or whatever, they don't have that fear. So I think it starts at a very young age.
Wait a minute now, I believe we feared our parents, didn't we?
Yes.
I mean, there was no question after you were told to do something. I went, got around these kids, and I told a young lady to sit down. And she turned around and asked me why I got to sit down. And I looked at her, and I said, you're going to sit down because I asked you to sit down, and don't ever ask me why I told you to do something. But this was a little girl, she must have been in 3rd grade.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, and that, listen, you're right on it, man, is that I don't care what neighborhood you came from, I just don't remember young people disrespecting their elders. Listen, you shouldn't have to be a law enforcement officer, a teacher, a principal, a preacher. Just a citizen on the street, make a simple request of a child. Again, we're not talking about stranger danger stuff, but we're talking about you're in your church and an adult tell you to have a seat. Or you're at the school, you're in the front office, and an adult making a reasonable request of you. Here's what I see. Kids have no respect for authority. And I'm not talking about all kids, but I'm saying it's at a level that I know did not happen when we were growing up.
Right.
And I've told my kids, you make sure make sure you respect your elders. And I believe in that, and I do believe in discipline. And I do believe there are mental health issues that kids deal with, behavioral issues that kids deal with, and sometimes they may need medication, so I'm not speaking against that.
Right.
But I'm telling you, the best medicine for a young kid growing up is some discipline. Yeah, it's some discipline. And I think right now kids lack discipline.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead. And the discipline that society is pouring to us to now is I'd say at that level now for a law enforcement officer.
It's okay.
You can pretty much get in trouble, you know, because we witnessed the teacher wrote a letter to your parents knowing you're going to get a killing. They know you finna get a
Yes, they
whooping.
did.
They say that was, and then the parent had to sign it. It wasn't like I'm
That's
sitting
right.
some
That's
home
right.
or
Yeah.
emailing it. They had to sign it and
And
bring
return
back.
it.
And so now a lot of parents are afraid that if I discipline my kids in a certain manner, I can be. And I want to use this story real quickly. Is that I disciplined one of my kids, and then they got the state involved. And he come there, the guy come there. I got 7 kids, and I said, man, listen, go in there and talk to him. I'm out there cutting me out. I said, you go in there and talk to him. I ain't gonna coach him. Go ahead. I said, matter of fact, if you want to take any of them out of there, I got 7 of them. Anyone you choose, it'll be all right with me. That man came back out and Mr. Polk, I see you. I said, I didn't talk to them kids. I ain't seen them people no more. Listen. And it was because of my daughter, Shane.
That's right.
She made some gestures, and she was hard-headed, and I had to, you know, but they got the other people involved and said, hey, we need to just come in and, you know, talk to your kids. So, but yeah, we're in a society, people are afraid.
Hey, can anything good come out of Gifford? Can anything good come out of Indian River County? Well, I brought you some good out of both Indian River County and Gifford. And I tell you that, like I say, just go through. It's not all bad. We know that there's crime there, there's drug there. Everywhere you go, there's something. So with that, I would like to thank Lieutenant Liddell Young and Bishop Vincent Polk for sitting in on this conversation. And guess what? There is a part 2 to this segment. But for now, I will see you next week, same time, same station.